Right, time to take a spin through the French papers with Alison Sargent. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning, Rochelle.
Now, today is the final day of campaigning before Sunday's runoff vote between Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron. And many left-wing papers are making a final plea to stop the National Front candidate.
They are, and we've talked about how papers in France usually don't publish kind of a formal endorsement of a candidate, but they do make that very clear in other ways, and you can see that very clearly today on the front page of the communist paper Humanité. There's no ambiguity there. They say, stoppons-la, let's stop her, with that photo of Marine Le Pen. And they say Marine Le Pen must lose, and by the widest margin possible. Now, the left-wing paper, Libération, has already published quite a few anti-Marine Le Pen front pages, and today they go after her party's extremist past. You can see that front page, Elle n'a pas changé, she hasn't changed. And you'll notice that that's not actually her in the photo, though, that we see. That is Jean-Marie Le Pen, Marine Le Pen's father. The paper says that Marine Le Pen's performance in Wednesday's debate was, quote, hateful in style and weak in content, and they say that it brought her party all the way back to its extremist roots.
Wow. OK, well, left-wing media aren't the only ones criticising Marine Le Pen's performance in that debate. It seems many of her supporters were also disappointed.
Yeah, a lot of papers are saying that Marine Le Pen may have actually lost a lot of support among her own supporters after that debate. The Parisien talks about the great doubt of FN voters. Reporters from that paper talked to Le Pen's supporters at her big rally last night, and a lot of them say their hearts just aren't in it anymore. One voter says he was yelling at his TV on Wednesday as he watched her performance. He says all she did was attack Macron. Another says she was so bad in the debate that he's considering not voting for her at all on Sunday. And supporters in general at that rally were really anticipating that she is going to lose. One said he's looking forward to seeing Marine Le Pen's niece, Marion Maréchal Le Pen, emerge, taking up the reins of the leadership of the party.
Well, some of Le Pen's supporters are anticipating her defeat this Sunday. And Alison, they're not the only ones.
They're not. Now, Emmanuel Macron has always had the lead in polls, anticipating the runoff between those two. And the Figaro thinks that Marine Le Pen sealed that deal in the debate. You can see after Le Pen shipwreck, Macron is the great favorite on the front page of Le Figaro today. And in its front page editorial, the paper says Marine Le Pen may have managed to bring her party into the mainstream, but in that debate, she really showed her limits. They say she does not have, quote, the makings of a president. And the paper also reports that Macron's supporters are already seeing themselves at the Élysée.
Well, Macron himself is also picturing his future at the Élysée Palace.
That's right. He's given an interview to Le Parisien today. You can see him on their front page. If I beat Marine Le Pen. He says he wants to bring together progressive Republicans. Now, his job, though, is going to be a lot harder than he thinks. In its editorial, Le Parisien says that Macron is, quote, condemned to succeed. The paper says that many people are voting for him because they feel they have no other choice. And because of that, few people are actually behind him. And if he does get elected president, a lot of people will be watching him with very critical eyes, expecting him to fail.
Indeed. Well, one of the main ways Marine Le Pen has attacked Emmanuel Macron is by trying to frame him as the candidate of big banks. The Huffington Post has some analysis today about why that's been so effective.
Yeah, Marine Le Pen really likes to remind her supporters and everyone else that Macron was a banker at Rothschild. And the Huffington Post says that that's an especially effective insult here in France, a country with a particular mistrust of bankers. You can see their headline there, Banque émissaire, that's a play on words. In French, a bouc émissaire is a scapegoat, and in France, bankers have often become a scapegoat for all of society's ills. This article cites a poll from 2011 that found that bankers were one of the 3 most hated professions here in France.
Wow. Well, Marine Le Pen may not be doing so well in the polls, but one group isn't taking any chances with that, foreigners living here in France.
Yeah, Libération, the left-wing paper, talked to a lot of expats who are living here in France who say that they actually plan to leave if Marine Le Pen wins the election. Libé reports that many foreigners feel especially powerless against the rise of the far right because they can't actually vote, even if some of them have been living here for a long time. And many say they came to France because it was a country that welcomed immigrants, and the rise of the far right is reason enough to leave, even if the National Front doesn't actually win. There's one woman who was quoted in this article who's from Quebec, but who was also Arab, and she says she has already decided to go back to Canada because she's so tired of hearing anti-Arab rhetoric.
Okay, even before the results here. Well, finally, in the event that Macron does win, he has already chosen a venue to pop the champagne bottles for his victory party.
He has, Rochelle. He's going to celebrate at the Louvre. The Huffington Post explains how he came to that decision. He ruled out places where former presidents had celebrated. For Sarkozy, that was at Place de la Concorde, and for Hollande, it was at Place de la Bastille. So he has chosen the Louvre, France's most visited, most famous museum. Most importantly, the Louvre doesn't have a political association. It's neither right nor left. It's just a great icon of France.
A great icon of France indeed. Alison, thank you so much for that. Alison Sargent there with the French Press Review.